On September 11th, 2001, Gordon's eldest brother, Edward P. Felt, was killed aboard Flight 93 as the passengers and crew members fought to retake control of that airplane. Since those early days, as our country struggled to make sense of the loss of thousands of our citizens, Gordon has served as the spokesman for the families of Flight 93. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Gordon Felt.
Mr. President, Mrs. Trump, Governor Wolf, Governor Schweiker, Secretary Zinke, Senator and Mrs. Casey, Congressman Schuster, Rothfuss, and Barletta, captain and crew of the USS Somerset, distinguished guests, those that serve our nation through their work with the National Park Service, National Park Foundation, Flight 93 National Memorial Ambassadors, friends of Flight 93, visitors, and dearest to my heart, families of Flight 93. I welcome you to our annual service to honor the 40 extraordinary heroes of United Flight 93. 17 years ago, I and scores of other family members that had experienced the tragic loss of a loved one on September 11th, 2001, were loaded onto buses and escorted along country roads lined with first responders saluting at attention, and families with children waving flags, hands over their hearts as a gesture of respect for those that we family members lost in what has been referred to as that first battle fought against this current brand of terrorism on American soil. Our destination was a site just behind us on the Western Overlook. At that moment when we first looked out over a field torn asunder, smelling of jet fuel, burned and gravely wounded, we and our country were grievously injured, hurting, angry, devastated, confused, and cast adrift into a world that offered only uncertainty, violence, and fear. Little did we know in that moment that the choices our loved ones made during the final 35 excruciatingly terrifying minutes of their lives, as well as the actions being taken on the ground in New York City and at the Pentagon, little did we know that they would serve to inspire a nation and reaffirm a standard of exceptionalism inherent in those that understand the unrelenting nature of freedom-loving peoples. This memorial is dedicated to preserving the stories of the 40 heroes of Flight 93 and their collective actions. Our newly dedicated Tower of Voices stands at the entrance of this great memorial, defiantly, reminding us of how 40 strangers came together, planned, prayed, voted, and chose to fight, foiling one prong of a terrorist attack against our country 5 years in the making. They were not passive. They did not sit back and let events unfold before them. They did not cower. Because of their actions, further loss of life was averted, and the preeminent symbol of our democracy was preserved. This Flight 93 National Memorial was designed to not only honor their memory and enshrine the history of September 11th, 2001 for future generations, but to also inspire those that take time to bear witness to their sacrifice. 35 minutes, a fraction of an hour, a lifetime to our loved ones. 35 minutes during which a choice was made, the course of history was changed, and a more devastating impact of the terrorist attack against our country was averted. I'm often asked what, if anything, can we learn from the events of September 11th? It's a complex question and one that could provoke hour upon hour of discussion, leading to many tangential responses. However, I firmly believe that the heroes of Flight 93 set a standard, reminding us what we instinctually know to be true, but all too often neglect to realize. The diverse individuals aboard Flight 93, the morning of September 11th, 2001, could easily have been any one of us. They ranged in age, from the unborn to those enjoying retirement, from varying backgrounds, professions, ethnicities, countries, and religions, whose diversity clearly added significant value to the choice that they made. When faced with a challenge that hopefully far exceeds anything that most of us will ever have to face, they were able to come together in mere minutes, not as 40 individuals, but rather as one unified force. They chose to stand together and fight as a single, united group. In their case, it was a hastily planned attack to retake control of a plane. On the ground in New York and at the Pentagon, it was a choice to run into buildings, or if already there, to assist others from fiery infernos on the verge of collapse. How do we honor these heroes? How do we help keep their memory alive so that they can continue to motivate us and impact the course of our history? The answer, as I've been trying to articulate for years, is by choosing to do so. We have to choose to actively remember. There should never be a time when we willingly sit back and opt to remain idle when evil threatens our freedom. We have to choose to be inspired by the collaborative actions of our heroes. And most importantly, choose to rise up and be better, as our loved ones did in their final moments. They deserve no less. And we, as freedom-loving people, can afford no less. For if we choose to forget the lessons learned on September 11th, 2001, through neglect, apathy, or distraction, we will become less honorable, less heroic, and less free. Thank you.